What's up guys, I'm Joel Dodge, welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to show you a few different ways you can set up a home studio around an iPad Pro. Let's get into it. So with this new iPad Pro coming out, I thought it'd be a good time to share some different ways you can build a studio around one. A few things I wanted to say before we get into it is, first off, I'm not going to be going into all the gear that you can use in your studio. I'm mainly going to be focusing on how you connect your iPad to other devices. The other thing I wanted to say is that everything I talk about in this video will be linked in the Amazon affiliate links down below. So all that being said, let's get into it. So the first option is just plug an interface directly into the iPad Pro and then use a Bluetooth MIDI keyboard. And this seems to be a lot of people's preferred option because it's definitely the most portable and you don't have to remember to have a dongle with you or anything like that. Most interfaces that would be considered like home studio interfaces are gonna work with iPad Pros, like your Focusrite interfaces, your PreSonus interfaces. I'll have a couple linked down below that are compatible, and hopefully with this new iPad that's coming out, with them bringing the Thunderbolt port, we'll actually get access to some more professional level interfaces on the iPad in the future. So the other part of this setup would be the Bluetooth MIDI controller, and the most popular one seems to be the X-Key Air. Personally, I don't use a Bluetooth MIDI controller though, and the reason is that anytime you're gonna have the MIDI capability on a device, it just makes it cost significantly more. And that's what leads us into the second setup, and that's just using a dongle. So when I wanna keep things portable, this is what I do. With a dongle, you can plug in multiple devices to your iPad at one time. So when I'm using this setup and I wanna stay portable, I typically use my Akai Mini and my Apogee Jam Plus, but you can pretty much use any MIDI controller or interface that you'd want. The other really cool thing about using the dongle is that you can actually charge the iPad while you're using these other devices. The final setup that I wanted to talk about is using a powered USB hub. And of course, this is the least portable setup that I'm talking about in this video, but it is what I use in my home studio. And it's really convenient. Instead of having to plug and unplug whatever devices you want to use, you just plug everything into the powered USB hub, and then you turn on the devices that you want to be using at the moment. And I definitely find this to be the most convenient for a studio setup where you have a bunch of different things that you use with your iPad and you don't have to constantly be unplugging and replugging things all the time. The only thing to keep in mind with this setup is that the powered USB hub, at least the one that I use, doesn't power the iPad. For me, this hasn't been a problem because I can typically do 4 or 5 hours of video editing or music production and it not run out of charge on me. But that is something to keep in mind if you would be using it for longer than that. Like I said before, everything that I've talked about in this video will be linked in the affiliate links down below. And of course, I would love to hear how you're setting up your own home studio with an iPad Pro. But as always, die empty. I'll catch you in the next one.